Welcome to the Liars Club. This is where we take our guests, we tell them to give us the truth, give us a lie, we figure out which is which. I'm Jessica Wellington.
I'm Felicia Michaels.
And you're about to get lied to.
Our first guest is a very funny lady. She works all over the country. She is now become a cool presence here at the Comedy Store because she's the second woman ever to become a door guy. And I'm going to just call you a door guy. Fuck everybody.
Yeah, that's fine.
You're a door guy.
I'm game with it.
And I got to meet her through Jackie Cation's lunch that she has on Tuesdays. And she's a really funny lady. I'm very happy to have her here. Please get it up for Carmen Morales.
Yay!
Yay!
It is lovely to be here.
Second guest is her podcast partner, and also he runs a show. He runs a show at the Improv. He's opened up for a lot of people like Jerry Seinfeld. I've read his website.
Technically, Jerry opened for me, but if you really want, go with the order. If you're doing order
my
of the
apologies. Please
I told him keep it clean, no crowd work. Hi.
Put your hands together for Bryan Vokey.
Yay!
Hi. Hello, everybody.
Thank you for coming.
Hello.
Thank you.
And
for
what is the
having me.
name of your guys' podcast?
No, sir, I don't like it.
Okay.
It's where me and Bryan, we sometimes do episodes just us, and sometimes we have on guests, and we just talk about stuff we don't like. Anything. It's like whenever we have a guest, we talk about the stuff that they don't personally like, because everybody's dislikes are different, you know?
Right.
Just as diverse as everybody's likes, but it's always interesting for me to like find out why.
What's been the most surprising dislike that someone has had where you were like, this motherfucker's crazy when they told you their story?
I don't think there's...
Black people.
Oh, yeah. But that was just you.
That was Tom Bell.
You're so stupid. You'll have to go back and listen to that episode to find out if Bryan's lying or not.
It's kind of true what I just said.
Or do you have one that's like the most unusual that you didn't see coming?
I never have listened to it once, so...
Bryan doesn't listen to it. What's even great is he doesn't
you're
remember
there.
anything he says on the
Oh.
podcast, so I have to remember everything I've said and everything he's said.
That
don't have
happens
to.
to me, though, too. No, I totally feel your pain because that happens to me. Sometimes I forget.
Well, you come high. There's a difference. He's not even high. He has no recollection.
I don't like listening to myself. I don't like watching myself. I don't like any of myself. So why would I listen?
That's why he makes the public deal.
Have you ever
with it.
gotten a
He's like,
ride
"You
from?
take it."
Have you ever gotten a ride from somebody and they're listening to their own podcast? You feel like you're about to be murdered. It's
Really? I do that.
Do you? It freaks me out, man. But you'll be better in this business than I will be.
So then, yeah, well, I listen to it because sometimes I take things out every once in a while.
Right.
I mean, I have to listen to it too.
Right, yeah.
To edit it.
Right.
Because there was a couple episodes where somebody said something and they're like, afterwards they were like, hey, I don't want people knowing that. I was just having a really good time. We were just riffing. I just got a little too loose-lipped.
Yeah, sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, the most needy thing, speaking of watching your own shit, I did this one-woman show, and it's half one-woman show and half comedy special. And I was saying to my 18-year-old son, hey, do you want to see the opening? And he's like, no, I don't. I said, I got like mad at him. And then I was like, what kind of sick fuck am I?
Yeah.
Watch me.
That's also that's half him up there too. So that's extra hard.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, true that.
Wow. I love watching myself. That's probably half the problem.
You do?
I do.
I can't.
I mean, obviously, there's things
Watching
that
you, not me.
we don't like about ourselves, whatever, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that I hate my fat or whatever, but I always think, damn, you look good.
That's awesome.
You should be famous. I think you have to think that way. You have to envision
Yeah,
it.
you got to have some kind of delusion in order to
Right.
keep doing this. There's got to be some element for you to
That
be
was,
like, I'm pretty good. I got to keep doing this.
That was a sweet-ass tiptoe around that, Carmen. Everyone got real quiet, like, where is this going to go? Well, we usually like to start off the podcast by chit-chatting a little bit, but we're going to jump right into it. So I hope Jessica told you both, I'm sure she did, that you tell two stories. One is the truth, one is a lie, and we're going to rotate it around, and we might ask you questions.
I'd slightly interrogate you.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just because we want to be
Can I
clear.
plead the fifth after I tell it, and you just guys have to figure it out?
I mean, you can.
You can, but we'd really like you to play the game.
I'm assuming
Because we've had a couple of people like say, okay, the thing, and you were like, what the fuck, dude? We're
Right,
supposed to
why'd you
guess
do
it. Yeah.
I'm assuming you told me this.
No. All right.
I didn't.
So you won't go first.
Okay. Give me a second
You can
here.
sit there.
True story and a lie. They're
true
both
story
pretty
and a lie.
evenly weaved for you, so you have to really figure out which one's the truth.
Yeah, it's a real French braid. I live a real French braid life.
French braid.
That's hilarious.
Wait, was that me or was that somebody that was telling a lie about?
Yeah, I was drunk for 15 years. I have no idea.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
15. You're that old? I didn't think you would.
Yeah, I'm 33.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought you were younger.
No apologies. I'm just sorry. It's daytime me. I don't have any
33 is
facial expressions
Still
yet.
pretty young, Jessica. Okay, so all right, so
Who's that for? Is that for me or you?
saying it for you and for me. All right, so you go ahead, Carmen.
All right. When I was in, like, at the end of high school, I dated, like, an older guy who was, like, probably a few years older than me.
And this is in
2 years.
Florida?
This is in Florida. And he worked at a funeral home. His name was Vincent, and he worked at a funeral home. And
Vincent Price?
yes, he was 900 years old. You might be familiar with some of his work. He was featured in the. This is
Doomed
obviously
to be in
the truth.
funeral
Yeah.
business if your name is Vincent.
And
How old were you?
huh?
How old were you?
Oh, 17. It was like 17 to 19. And
right. And you dated a guy that worked in a funeral home?
yeah, I mean, what's weird is they hire, like, I worked there a summer. He got me a job there in the summer after I graduated. And it's bizarre how many young people work at a fucking funeral home, or at least at the ones in Florida. It was really
The funeral homes are big business, especially in Florida. Even in North Carolina, we had a lot.
Because everybody goes there to die. There's a reason it's called Heaven's Waiting Room. Blah blah blah. All that stuff. There's a ton of old people down there.
Right.
And so for the summer, I got to work there. There was this, and I was more of like, instead of like, I didn't really fuck with the dead bodies much because you had to be like, you had to have a little bit more experience. Like, but those people are fucking weird.
I was
The
kind of
dead
wanted
hang
to
out
do
with,
that.
yeah, they would just hang.
Yeah.
It's like they have like a weird, like I don't know how to explain it. It's like it's a vibe about them where it's like I could only spend a certain amount of time with them. And
Yeah, that's me.
I didn't. And I just didn't want them to have any of my personal information. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they might be at best like a quirky stalker. You know what I mean? Like, they just want to watch you cook dinner and then they go home. Like, it's not anything pervy or anything. It's just like this weird fixation that they have. And there was, so I was more up in the front. I made people feel better. I'm charming. I smile a lot. People like me. So I would always be like manage the tragedy. You know what I mean? Oh, it's so good to see you. I'm so glad you're here, blah, 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 all that stuff. And we're about to open the doors for a service, and there's the guys that work in the back are all like talking to each other in front of the room around the casket, and they're all like really concerned. And like I have people that are waiting to come in, and like you'd be surprised how much they just stack these funerals back to back to back. Like it's like we got one at 1:30, we got one at 3, and they kind of really just kind of it kind of desensitizes you too, because it kind of just shoves these people out of these like
It's like we
really
gotta
sensitive.
clear the room
all right,
for
we
the
gotta
next
get
show.
the next show exactly.
Right.
We got to turnover. I got to get the body out of here. And so they're all like freaking out about we can't open, we can't. And they're like, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And they're like, we put the body in the thing and we brought it. And we just opened the casket, and the body's not there. The body's missing. And I was like, oh, shit. And I was like, well, who went with you guys in the hearse? And there was like a couple people from the family, 2 people from the family, and that was it. And I was like, well, did they think they fucking took the body? And they're like, there's no way. We were with him the whole time. So
It's
they're all
only 2 people. That'd be kind of hard to.
Yeah, to not be obvious about stealing a body.
Right.
Yeah, especially when they got the makeup on, they're fully dressed. Like it's not even there's no way to inconspicuously steal a body. And so they
I think it'd be worse if it was naked.
yeah.
Well, they.
So the body was already
dressed them.
dressed.
I feel like the dress and the makeup.
Yeah, it was like
easier.
the service was about to start.
Okay,
And it
okay.
was like
I think
bringing
she
it
means
from
the
it was
people-
bringing it from the funeral home to like the cemetery.
Okay, okay.
And so the whole thing is about to start and everything, like, and and they still don't know what to do. And they're like, they call the place, and I was like, is the body still there somehow, or did it fall out? Like, they had no idea what happened. And then, and meanwhile, like, I'm doing crowd control in the front for all the family because they're like, we're supposed to, people are showing up. All
So
this
you
stuff.
got a little time to.
Yeah. I'm trying to, I'm working the room. Who are you from? How'd you know the dead guy? Huh?
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to lighten the mood, right?
And you
Considering
were 17?
What do you do for a
Huh?
living?
You were 17 at this
this
point?
time I was 18. I dated the
Okay.
guy that was.
Wow,
I was
that's
17 when I
a
dated the guy that worked
serious job
there.
to have for an 18-year-old.
Yeah,
It's
it was
crazy.
especially when there's a slight crisis averted when the loved one is
Right.
not
Yeah.
there. So, come to find out, the dead body was actually the body of an amputee, and the body had slid down to the bottom end of the casket, and so it was there. He was there the whole time, and
Below or above
It was-
genitals?
huh?
Below or above the genitals?
No. It was like here, like his femur. That's where your femur is, right?
Right.
Like
Here.
just above the knee.
Yeah,
It's just a
above the
shitty
knee.
magic trick.
Yeah, that's basically all it was. And then we laughed and rejoiced. I mean, not to in front of the family or anything, but it
Right.
was, yeah.
Oh my goodness!
Wow.
If that's real, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, thank you for mixing it up. People usually just tell stories about anal, but we're so happy that someone actually has like
That
a
we don't
real.
have to use hashtag
Oh,
regular
that's
sex.
oddly enough, that's my second story.
That was
Well, that's
good.
a good opener. I like it.
Yeah, I always did want to be like a mortician, but I couldn't work the front of the house. And I'd be crying all day. I'm too sensitive. When people started getting upset, I'd be crying with them.
I'm always the one everybody cries on.
So how
I got real
is
soft
it-
shoulders.
Yeah.
They
is
like it.
there, because it's a funeral home, like a legal age where people can you be 17 and work at a funeral home?
Yeah,
or
'cause a lot of
18?
No,
people
I
Yeah.
couldn't. That's why I
Yeah.
didn't work there till I was 18. The summer,
Okay.
after high school. It was like when I first started going to community college.
But I
and stuff
almost
like
think that you can, because I think a lot of those are family businesses.
some of them you can. I mean, I had a buddy of mine from Chicago that worked there when he was like 16, but it was a privately owned family.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
certain you could get away with it as long as you don't get caught.
So what was it like the first time you saw a dead body?
Not as impactful as I thought it was going to be.
What kind of body was it? Was it a man, a woman?
It was an old lady. That had
Oh,
a big
really?
old, she had like a big old like a like a big old. Well, even if she's got big tits, they deflate when they're dead, dude. They lay flat. You get pancake tits no matter what happens, dude. There's no
Not
fucking
with
saving
fake
it.
boobs, do they?
No, not with fake boobs. But they mean you take all that shit out.
Oh,
you
do
know?
they really? Mm-hmm. I didn't know that. They take
They
out
take
the
your
fake-
fake tits?
Recycle.
They take they take everything out. It's just your dead body. They take all your organs out. They take everything. You're just a hollow shell when they put you in that box.
That's if you're an
What's-
organ donor,
what's
though,
in
right?
you?
Oh, never mind. No,
no,
that's
because
like,
What
that's
do they
part
do
of the
with those
embalming process.
organs?
Is they take everything out.
Now the podcast has changed.
Yeah.
What happens to the organs?
They make ballpark Franks out of them. But wait,
Wow.
what's in you?
All the stuff.
How are you not just like flat, like a cartoon?
They
Yeah.
stuff you.
it's called.
With
I mean,
what?
I guess
With
you keep your
what?
bones and shit.
Well, yeah, your bones are in there. They don't take your bones. You're not just a piece of skin.
Yeah, but how do you not look like a plastic bag with some celery?
Have
in
you
it?
ever looked at a dead person? They kind of look like a
I've looked at a lot of dead people,
I'm
but they're
high.
not.
I can't take this
They're dressed up.
conversation right now.
This is literally all I think about.
I know. What am I going to look like, huh?
Well, because I did massage classes for a short time, and we went
How are
for
these
the.
connected?
You start with cadavers.
I was massaging dead
Yes,
bodies.
you start with
Yes,
cadavers.
they take us to see cadavers, and they pull back the muscles and all on these.
Are
these
you
old
serious?
On these dead people, yeah, it was really cool. But they covered the face; they wouldn't let us look at that because some people got emotional.
I want to make sure they're enjoying it.
I'm fine with dead people; it's real people with real feelings
Yeah.
that bother me.
And that's why she's my partner. All right, Brian, what's up? You got a story for us?
Yeah, I got endless amounts of stories. Let me see here. What? Okay, I got one. When I was in kindergarten, I grew up in Westbrook, Maine, before we moved to Georgia, and I was playing in the sandbox with Bobby Donnelly, and you know that thing that you pour the sand in and it makes the wheel turn like it looks
Right.
like a water wheel.
Right.
I wanted to play with that. It had like a funnel on the top, so I asked Bobby if I could play with it. And he said no. And that was it. But this is like the roots of how I became a psycho.
How old were you?
Kindergarten? 5, 6?
Okay.
Is that how old you are in kindergarten?
Yeah.
4 or
Yeah.
5.
No, I think it's 5, 6 because I taught pre-K. It's 4, 5.
I did not expect that to come out of your mouth.
Then shouldn't you already know the answer?
So this is like I got really mad that he wouldn't share the toy. Now, key part of this story is Bobby Donnelly had a long rat tail because I'm a child of the mid '80s.
Oh yeah.
And so it was like 1991, and this is white trash Maine.
Oh,
What?
just that he had a rat tail. It makes me
Many of
sad.
I had steps at the time.
You did okay.
Oh yeah,
All
acid
right.
wash jeans with elastic at
Okay,
the
so
bottom
it was
and the
fair.
top.
Fair. It was fair between.
It was.
the
Oh
two
yeah,
of you.
yeah. We were all equal garbage.
Okay.
In Westbrook, Maine, there was a girl named Lindsay who never had front teeth and always wore an oversized Guns N' Roses shirt and used to pin me down and kiss me.
That's
she was cool.
his first Me Too story.
Yep. Anyway, so Bobby Donnelly didn't let me play with the toy in the sandbox, so I never forgot this. So I, a little bit while later, I smuggled some scissors into my pocket and waited for nap time, and I set up my nap stuff next to Bobby Donnelly, and I pretended to fall asleep, and he really fell asleep, and I snipped off his rat tail. And I put it in my pocket, and then I waited till I was on the bus, and halfway home, I threw the scissors and the rat tail out of the window of the bus, so nobody could find the evidence. But the real sick part was when he woke up and he figured it out, he started crying, and I tried to console him. I was like,
The only problem I have with this story is that in kindergarten they don't give you sharp scissors.
Yes, they do.
They do if you steal them from the fucking teacher.
I went to one of those schools that had a construction plate, like I had real hammers, and you could hammer nails in.
In kindergarten.
I don't know.
Yes.
Dude, he is looking at you like he knows how to fucking lie.
I went
Look
to a
at him.
construction school.
No, you can still. I didn't go to a Montessori school. I went to a public school. But if you go to a Montessori school now, they still like. That's an old classic.
But
early,
still, they're like safeguarded children's scissors. You would have
The
to
only
grab that rat
You guys
tail and
also have to
hack-
remember he
hack
went to
at it.
school in the 90s. I got sharp scissors. I went to school in Florida. They don't give a fuck about your well-being. You guys got to think poor. Poor means no safety.
But you are right. They were like the blue plastic handles with
Yeah.
metal scissors, and
So
I did
fuck
have
off,
to.
Carmen.
I got like rusty fucking like tetanus.
I had to like go like this
Right.
and cut a few times.
Yeah, and he didn't wake up.
No, he didn't wake up at all. It was
Wow.
When I was in kindergarten, and my teacher was like.
He was listening to his breathing. Just he's good in his sleep now. I'm getting your fucking rat
How
tail,
long
boy.
was it till he noticed when he woke up? How long did it take him to notice that it was gone?
It wasn't until his mom picked him up.
Really?
Yeah, he had no
'cause
idea.
yeah.
His mom picked him up and said, "What happened to your hair?" And he went like this, and he started crying. By the way, for the
slapping
podcast,
his
slapping the back of his neck, looking for his gross rat tail.
Like he was really proud of himself. Oh yeah, good for what the fuck? Where is
That is hilarious.
In fact, but back to your scissors things. In my preschool that I taught at in San Francisco, there were kids who were able to give themselves haircuts all the time with our scissors, and this is in
Yeah.
Bay Area
it?
2000.
I can't tell
I
if the
believe
story's
that.
a lie or the fact that you're a teacher's a lie. I can't figure any of this out. There's no way people would let you take care of their kids.
No, but it's true because my son, when he was like 3, they had little scissors because I had a little bit older son, and I was doing something, and I came in the bathroom, and he had long hair down to his shoulders, and he cut it into this fucking like it made me cry. I was crying, and I was like, "Why'd you do that?" He said, "I wanted to look like a rock star, Mommy." And I was like, "The wrong rock star." Because it was fucking Flock of Seagulls, right? He went from Robert Plant to Flock of Seagulls. So, yeah, I mean, I could see you doing it, but you'd have to tug a lot. So
No, you don't have to tug. It's just right there.
yeah, but you have to kind of hold it taut so that you can kind of hack at the hair, don't you?
No, it's just a rat tail. He's not
like
cutting
this
all of
thick.
it.
It's not.
Okay.
It's
All
like
right.
if you've seen a rat tail, it's literally
Yeah.
called a rat tail because it's like this.
Okay.
It's white people hair. It's very thin.
Okay.
I got in a fight with Bobby Donnelly in 3rd grade after that too. First fist fight.
Yeah.
Did you bring it up? Did you be like, yeah, that's why I took your rat tail, you piece of shit?
No.
No, I don't even remember what we fought, but I remember I punched him in the stomach and then I ran and cried.
That's how fights usually go. Right? Oh, I don't know what to do with all this emotion. God damn it!
If that's true, that's fucking conniving shit, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is some pretty like
Yeah.
you shouldn't be working at a preschool is what I'm saying.
I'll tell you this, I'm pretty happy that I didn't grow up to be a murderer. I am pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I see there's other stories too that like,
Yeah.
little-
Impulse control.
yeah.
Yeah. No, 'cause I have a son who is ADHD, so I can spot that shit a mile away.
Oh, God.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
think he's a murderer?
No, it's just impulse control. No,
Oh.
people grow out of
Is he
it.
popping the heads
Yeah.
off of kittens and shit?
No,
That
no.
might be a
People
big
grow-
sign.
No,
if that's
people
a-
grow out of it.
Okay.
People grow out of it. Yeah, and he's a good-spirited kid, so it's always stupid shit like, "Why that?" You know what I mean? It's
Right.
nothing. You know, it's nothing serious and psychopathic like someone's hair during nap time with a well-planned layout for action.
It was Brian in the nap room with the scissors.
That's
I'll tell you
funny,
this though,
Jessica.
that story I always carried with me. It made me feel very weird until I actually worked with children, and then I saw shit like that every day.
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, kids are fucking conniving."
No, because there's always a
Yeah.
story of when you were a kid. Like I shared one about telling my teacher my dad died on one of our earlier podcasts, and that was one of those stories that I carried through my childhood of like, I am fucked up. Like, why would I tell someone
yeah.
that? You know what I mean?
She told him he had died. He
I
didn't.
told the teacher my dad had died, and he hadn't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
because you're learning to lie, and lying is fun.
Did you want to
Why do you
feel?
think people lie all
no,
the time?
I was because it was a shame thing because I didn't want to give an answer about something. So I don't know. About my dad because my parents just got divorced.
oh.
I
Okay,
just thought
so
you
it was
wanted
just
some
a-
sympathy because I would get that.
I just want to point out the fact that Ryan goes, "Oh yeah," like it's just common. I was just, oh, it's obviously I did that too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, these are
Anyways,
good ones.
These are good ones. All right, Carmen, your second story.
You're up.
My second story was also in Florida, and it was when I was like newer in comedy, and so I was like saying yes to everything. And like comedy in Florida was a little different, where you had to like travel a fuck ton for these shitty gigs, and I had gotten the opportunity to host for John Panette, the late John Panette, because he's dead
Yeah.
now, and.
Nice guy. Really?
Maybe not towards the end.
I had a host for him, and it was weird because that was like my first time ever seeing anybody that famous. And he, it was at the Improv in the Miami Improv in South Florida, and he would have like really rich people come in and see him, like ridiculously rich. Like this guy owns this chain of banks, like that kind of rich people,
Right.
And
Did they all look like him?
no.
Oh, really?
I mean,
No, I just mean
some
like,
of them, yeah.
like you know what I mean. Just like smoking not that he smoked a cigar, but just
He
like,
did smoke cigars.
Oh, he did smoke cigars.
He smoked cigars.
Oh,
he
he did.
would
In Miami.
Yeah, I mean, especially in Miami.
Yeah,
He would
right?
always be like
Yeah.
looking for somebody to get him for him, a certain kind or whatever. And he would
I
drink
did not know
Patron
that.
like he was sipping on water.
Yeah, probably take a lot to get him drunk.
Yeah. And so he was there after it was like, and I was doing a good job. I was like real proud of myself, you know. And then the second night when the guy was there, the real rich guy, I was like trying to grab, I think my notebook or something, and I knocked his shot of Patron on him, and he was like gonna fire me over it. Because he was
Really?
he was like gonna fire me over it, and I was like, what? Like what?
It was an
So-
accident.
Yeah, I was like, I would even pour it on
Oh,
you.
he's trying to get you fired, or he owned the club.
He was just like threatening to fire
Oh,
me.
okay.
I don't know if he was like doing it like vibrato to like show off to these rich people that were there or whatever. And then I was like, I'm sorry, Mr. because like he had this whole thing about like Frank Sinatra and how like he would tell all these stories about Frank Sinatra and how everybody always called him Mr. Sinatra, and that was like like a respect thing. So then, like as a bit, I would just call him Mr. Panette. You know, it was like as a sign of respect.
Oh, you spilled the drink on John.
I spilled the drink on John, not on the rich guy. On John's
okay,
leg.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
Yeah. Hard not to spill it on him, really.
Shut up. And so it was kind of weird. That was the first show of the second night. So it was kind of weird vibes. He didn't fire me, and then he was like saying that the reason is that his friends were like, oh, no, don't fire her over that. That's not cool. And then he was like, do you think that's because you're overweight? Like, that's why they didn't want you to get fired? And I was like, no, I think it's because you were going to fire me over something ridiculous. And
What?
yeah. And then, again, but he was also like drunk. And then, so the next night, some buddy of his shows up that he knew from like a while ago. I don't know if they went to high school together or something. They knew each other from the past. And like, he had like brought John some Coke. And so John was doing Coke. And then, which was fine. I don't care. You do whatever you want. And then he was like, you got to do something. And I was like, no, dude, my uncle's a cokehead. I don't like Coke. It's not my thing. And he was like, you're not going back on that stage unless you do a fucking bump with me. And then I was like, really? Are you fucking kidding me right now? I was like, this is way too much. I'm getting $50 a show. Fuck this. I don't need this, right?
Yeah, it's one thing to hang out with a headliner, but you don't have to do everything they do.
Exactly. So I'm there, and so then he just I'm like, come on, John. Like I don't want to do it. It's not really my. So he puts the Coke in his and he shoves it up my nose. And instead of me, just right before I go on stage,
This guy's cool.
Yeah, I don't know what your problem is.
so instead of inhaling, I blow out. So it's just my nostril goes numb, but I don't get high, right? And so I go and do my set like
That was
nothing
an idiotic thing on his part to do too. Like, why are you wasting cocaine
on something? Because people, I don't know if you hung out with cokeheads, they want you to be on coke too. It's a thing because then nobody gets to feed. Nobody's there judging you. Everybody is being a piece of shit together. It's so fucking stupid. It's all
ever
about
heard that
everybody's
saying-
ego.
The saying "misery loves cocaine."
Misery loves cocaine company. Yeah, misery loves cocaine company. And so then afterwards, the guy's like, telling John like, and by the way, like. He was supposed to be down there getting sober, I think. And there were so many people that were coming, like giving him methadone, like lollipops, like all like just people throwing drugs at this man.
Methadone.
Yeah. Methadone lollipops.
and that's what you take to get off like heroin and shit.
He was on heroin? He was
No, he wasn't on heroin. They were
No, but
just giving them to
they're
him.
just like people that can't get heroin, they'll go to the methadone clinic to get methadone because they can't get heroin and they can still get like a
It's a synthetic opiate.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I know what it is, but
Just explain.
I've been around since they called that shit horse. Okay, you know what I'm saying?
Since they called it what?
Horse.
Oh, like horse tranquilizer?
No, that's just what when I was a kid on Starsky and Hutch, that's how old I am. That was the show we used to watch, and they would call it, yeah, he's got the horse or whatever. And you'd be like, wow. And in a little town, wow, horse means heroin, mommy. That's what the conversation would be. Wow. So this, I feel stunned by this revelation about John Panette.
I mean, if it's true, yeah.
Okay.
And then, so then afterward,
The whole story is true. It was just Ralphie May.
they didn't say how wrong it had to be. So then this guy keeps like baiting John into like saying, hey, I have more back at my place. Like come hang out afterwards. And I was like, yeah, I'll drive you, again, being naive and like still I was just like and I was like, for sure, I'll take you. So we go all the way to this guy's place, which they always make it. So anytime somebody after a show is like, oh, just come over to my house. It's just down the street.
Yeah, never go.
It's never just down the street.
First
it's
lesson
always
in comedy.
minimum 30 fucking minutes
Never
away
leave with an
or a creepy
audience
place.
member.
Yeah. So we go to this bar. I guess this guy owned a bar, and he was like going to make us sandwiches or something. Like he's a bar that has like sells like Philly cheesesteaks or something. And so we're sitting at the bar. Turns out the guy doesn't have any coke. Guess who's pissed off? Cokie McCokerson, because now he's not on coke anymore, and he doesn't want to be at this fucking bar with these normies, if you will.
Eating sandwiches.
Yeah. So then this guy starts coming over. Well, he did want the sandwich. He starts coming over, and I'm not gonna lie, it was a good Philly cheesesteak. He wasn't joking. It was a damn good Philly cheesesteak. And so this guy starts coming over and like bothering John, like oh, I fucking love you. Do the thing, do the buffet thing. Like just bothering him. Ugh. And John's getting more and more pissed. And the guy's like, oh, I can't get any more Coke. So he's already more pissed about that. So then the guy won't leave him alone. And then John's like, yeah, all right, buddy, just whatever. And then the guy just won't stop. So then John goes, hey, go get your car. And he turns around and he swings on the guy and like misses him. But he like, so I was like, oh shit, I guess this is for real. Oh. So I went and got my car and I pulled around front and he just came out and then he asked me to take him back to his hotel room and I did. And he was like, you can sleep here if you want. And I was like, I am not sleeping here, but thank you. And then I left.
Damn, son.
With those little T-Rex arms, he took a swing.
He did.
I don't know about that.
I feel emotional about this story because
Broadway guys slap.
I guess I just didn't know. I didn't know John Panette that well, but that's a surprising story to me.
I didn't know him that well either.
Yeah, but I think it sounds like a good story. I don't know. I'd be waxing poetic about that story. I think that's fun. I don't know.
Yeah, it is good. Damn, I don't. Fuck.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And this is, when you were telling the story, this is what I was thinking about. Back in the day, I used to open up for Howie back in the day. And,
Mandel?
Yes.
He was on Little Monsters, one of my favorite movies.
Yeah. So he...
Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on. So, as his opening act, he would play monstrous pranks on you. So, and I know that Panette was one of his opening acts before me, and like they would do stuff. They took a tour bus for a little while, and I guess with a Sharpie they did his toenails, but I guess John couldn't see his toenails.
So the bit got lost. So did you never know?
No, it got better because then they'd be at a hotel and he'd go to the pool. And when he'd go in the pool, like people would be taking their children out of the pool because all his toenails were black.
So they just thought his feet were fucked up?
Yeah.
Like, that man's feet are rotting.
Yeah.
We're getting
He's
our
literally
children
rotting
out.
from the bottom.
This is way worse than when people come in with
Even as
diarrhea.
a fat person, though, like, can't you see your feet if you go to the bathroom or,
I'm just telling you what I heard.
You're not even in the universe of John Panette. Like,
yeah.
He's a very large man.
He's like very large.
Like almost cut a hole out of a
and it was
house.
like-
Large.
He would constantly, yeah.
He was very unhealthy. So, but
This would be
so is
insane
Ralphie,
for him
if
to
you
do.
guys
I feel
want-
like.
so he came up in an era that he got teased a lot, but we all did. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for
like that was what you did to the opening act. You tortured the opening act.
He's not the only comic that's ever like a lot of older comics. I worked with all those old people that you don't work with anymore.
Yeah.
I worked with all of them when I
Uh-huh.
first started.
On their way down. Too.
Yeah, on the way out. I worked with them on the way up. I worked with them on the way out.
Well, you know what? I'm a little bit older than you guys. Shut the fuck up, Jessica. And no, I'm kidding. But when I used to look at all the old comics doing those kind of gigs, I'd get so sad. And now I'm all like, that don't sound so fucking bad. Have a big fat house in Florida.
Right,
do
I'd be
some
cool with that.
gigs, drive
sure.
to there,
Yeah,
do my
absolutely.
thing. My neighbors like
It's a
the
nice
same
plan
hour
G
for
for
17
me.
years?
Yeah, seriously, you don't have to work at all.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
you
Show
haven't
up.
written anything in a long time.
You get your 657 or it's always out.
Yeah.
Have the chance to torture Carmen?
Yeah.
Sounds like a good idea.
Try to
Yeah,
force
I'm doing that shit for free.
Wow, 2 strong fucking stories,
Yeah.
Carmen. I applaud you. I applaud you.
I don't know what to think. I don't know. I don't have any thoughts yet on what's
Yeah,
true.
you have to
I
think
do.
about that. All right, Brian,
Oh.
your second story.
All right. This is a story about how I got kicked out of airborne school in the United States Army.
Really?
Jessica just leaned forward. Really?
I was in the Air Force.
You were in the Air Force. Okay.
6 years.
I was in the Army. And
So you
Now
obviously will
Brian
never
just
get
leaned
along.
forward.
Air Force, we called y'all Marine mattresses.
That's a good one. I only slept with one.
I always
Marine.
had a problem with the Air Force because when you guys were stationed with us, you got extra pay to live in our housing because it was substandard to your guys' housing.
That sounds right.
I pissed on it. Never
That's
mind.
true.
Anyway,
But we when I was stationed down in Qatar when it was first getting built, we actually went to the army base for like R&R because they had the nice pool and on it was already built up. That was very unusual.
Yeah, that doesn't
Very
sound.
unusual.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like Fort Gordon, Georgia at all. Qatar was nicer than Fort Gordon, Georgia.
Qatar's really nice now.
Yeah. So I got out of basic training and I went to airborne school in Fort Benning, Georgia. And what you need to know is that I had asthma real bad, and it was exercise-induced asthma. And I told my recruiter, Staff Sergeant Crump.
You did tell him.
And he goes, we're not telling him.
Right.
Like, I told him we had asthma, and he's like, they don't need to know that. And so I get through basic training, and I've been pretty sick through most of basic training, but I got
With
through
asthma?
Yeah, with asthma and other stuff. I just had a hard time. I came out looking like I was in a concentration camp. Like my cheeks were all sucked in.
Yeah, dude. It was
I showed her a
creepy.
picture. It's disgusting.
wow.
It's all like sunk in and shit.
But I fought for airborne because I had a nerd job, and I fought for airborne in my contract. They didn't want me to do that because it added 7 weeks to training, and then I had to go to Fort whatever in Maryland to do my.
Well, with asthma, airborne probably wouldn't have been a good idea.
The Army wasn't a good idea.
The whole thing was real dumb.
But I had a chip on my shoulder. I wanted to be more decorated than my father and my grandfather with that stuff. I wanted the wings. It's like a source of pride. Whatever.
So you come from an Army family?
Yeah. Well, my grandfather was in like 3 branches. He was in the Merchant Marines, the Army, and the Navy. He left for the Navy because he got in an argument with my grandmother one time and joined the Navy and went to.
That's great.
I'll see you in a year and a half.
If I'm lucky, the Japs will kill me.
That's the most passive aggressive thing I've ever heard. Oh yeah, bitch, I'm going overseas.
So
Power move. Holy shit.
I
That's
reported
amazing.
to airborne school, and the thing that it's way different. I was in an artillery basic training in Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and it's one of the last all men basic training that they have in the Army, so they can fuck with you way harder than they can with the integrated ones or whatever you call that.
Co-ed, integrated. What is this? They start letting a few black people in too. It's crazy.
Most of my education was in Georgia, so. But anyway, I get to airborne school, and it's actually tougher than artillery basic training. And the first thing is I had a cell phone. I was calling my dad, and cell phones were kind of brand new at the time.
Oh, okay, we did not have cell phones.
Well, I'm at a basic training. I'm at airborne school.
All
And
right.
so you have a little bit more privileges. You can kind of walk around
year
a little
was
bit. I left August 27th, 2003, and I graduated basic training in November of 2003. So, no, 2000. Was it 2003? Yeah, it was
just a
2003.
late bloomer because I didn't have a cell phone yet.
I got a cell phone. I was calling home. I didn't know the rules for cell phones are new now. So at this point, I didn't know you weren't allowed to talk on them in uniform. You can now. So my airborne instructor, who I had just met by making me do push-ups, grabbed my cell phone out of my hand, stomped it, and like smashed it on the ground. And then we go and we
fuck?
that was my first cell phone was smashed.
Those aren't cheap yet, or they're
No,
not
no,
cheap
no,
now.
no,
But they
no.
were like, "What the fuck?" Yeah.
No, it was a flip phone. It was or a Nokia brick phone that had worm on it or whatever that.
That was my
Snake.
favorite.
Oh, it was so good.
Yeah. But anyway, so we do the first jump. It's a lot of running every morning, a lot of running. We do the first jump. Everything goes fine. The second jump is a night jump. So we're doing the night jump, and the night jump ends with an 11-mile run. After you land, you
How are you
pack
not
your stuff,
dead?
and you run. And that's like the second jump. And I do the second jump. I pack up my parachute. I'm running. We're in formation. I'm falling behind. Every time I fall behind, the guy behind me hits me in the back of the head with his M16. It says, "Keep up." Eventually,
Is that the TI that's doing that?
no, it's just another guy in my unit. Another guy in my
Still trying to
platoon.
get you to keep going?
Yeah, because if I fall back, it makes him fall back. It makes everybody fall back.
Because he's in line.
We're in
Gotcha.
formation running, so every time I kind of slow down, he just tags me. And so I start gasping for air, and I turn like purple, and I just fall out. And the 2 soldiers ahead of me just jump over me and yell medic, and then they put me in the back of this deuce and a half, and I have to get an IV. I'm so dehydrated. They have to go to the hospital, get a nebulizer, and I got kicked out of airborne school for having asthma, and then got assigned to my AIT unit and went and traded for my nerd job where I did at the NSA.
What did you do? What was your nerd job?
I signed up as 25 Romeo, which meant I wanted to do AFN, Armed Force Networks. I wanted to do equipment, like maintenance on television equipment, but they reassigned me to do maintenance on intelligence equipment, and so I ended up at the NSA in Fort Gordon.
Oh, man, they tricked me good, too. I said I wanted a computer job, and they put me in ammo.
That's the same thing.
See,
How do they
I got a job that translates to a lot more money.
To be like, oh yeah, that's the same thing for sure.
By the way, before the show, you were trying to text someone an emoji, and the amount of concentration just to select an emoji on your iPhone, you should have went to ammo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
We need somebody paying that kind of attention to bullets. But basically, it's one of my biggest regrets is that I never is that I never got wings. I never got wings, and so
does your dad hate you?
my dad didn't have wings either, though. That's why I wanted him.
Oh, right.
I wanted to be the one with wings. Now
I'm the best Vokey.
Now we're on level ground, and I don't have anything to hold over him.
Boys and their bullshit pride. I swear to God.
I still haven't achieved more than him in any sense, and it drives me crazy.
you are a twisted fucking puzzle, my friend.
I love that you're wearing
I
a
like
George
it.
Strait t-shirt.
Oh, thank you. I love George Strait.
Very interesting. By the way, we drove to Ventura the other night, and that was some of the funkiest music that I have ever heard.
I bet these guys have heard of
Okay,
it. Especially
okay, go
being
ahead,
from
go
Florida,
ahead, 'cause I
and
was
you know about
fucking-
line dancing, right? You know the song "Stroking."
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Are you fucking kidding me? I can't go to a karaoke night without hearing a fucking antique in a palm tree shirt sing that song.
Are you
I'd
serious?
see it.
Wait, is
Stroking
Antique a
by
Florida
Clarence
slang?
Carter.
No, it's my slang.
What does it mean?
Believe it.
An
old trophy wife?
An old man.
Oh,
An old man
I thought
and
an
a-
antique would be an old
yeah.
trophy wife.
All right.
Oh, because she's on a shelf still?
My
See?
apologies.
That's a good call.
I thought she was having a stroke in my car because she was singing along to that stroking song. And I was like, what the
Stroking song.
What the
Stroke it to the east. Stroke it to the west. That's how they sing the song too. Stroke it.
That's how she
I'll
was
be stroking
doing it.
It gets dirty though because it says,
Of course, the whole song's about jerking.
I
it.
know, but they get a little, for that era, it was a little risque, right? He's like, if my stuff ain't tight enough, you can stick it up my whoa.
Jesus.
But I don't think it was, man. I think they were just more subtle about it. Because that's why, like, ZZ, because I remember it was like ZZ Top and another band were having like a competition on who could release the dirtiest song and
Really?
get it
I didn't know
FCC
that.
approved. That's where Pearl Necklace came from.
Oh.
She wore a pearl necklace.
Yeah.
And then it was the
Wait, who sang Pearl Necklace?
ZZ Top.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then I think it was with the, it might have been with the Stones or something, because at the same time that was when they released that song. Shit,
Some Girls?
I don't remember.
Is it the one where he says, black girls like to fuck all the time, but I ain't got that much jam? It's one of the weirdest lyrics I've ever heard.
Wow. It is. That is complete, though. Complete and concise.
Oh my God.
You two are so fucking fun. All right. So, what do we think? Do you have any questions you want to ask, Jessica? Do you have any questions?
These are both really good.
Good stories.
Do I get to
by the
guess
way.
too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We'll start with
I have a
Carmen.
guess.
Do you have any questions about her stories?
Well, I lived in front of a funeral home in North Carolina, just Tyndall Funeral Home. It was family owned.
We need some fucking banjo music right now.
Why does it sound like you're accepting a Lifetime Achievement Award?
Cue the slow banjo music.
Well, and I was friends with the girl who her dad owned it. Her name was Kim. I wonder what you're up to, Kim. So I almost feel like I may have heard a version of this story.
Really?
Yeah, and it might be my weird head, but I'm thinking I might have heard like a joke
I had never heard of it, and I still have never heard of it since.
about this happening. So I'm going to say that that's not true, and that the you doing coke sort of is.
Yeah.
Getting pied in the face with cocaine.
Poor you. John Panette almost made you do coke.
Well, I mean,
Okay, no, I'm totally teasing. What is that TV show about the funeral home? Remember, it was
6 feet under.
6 feet under.
It does sound like a
My
plot
Girl.
line from 6 Feet Under a little bit. But
I've never seen that.
We were talking about
when I was listening to the John Panette story, I was that was a very emotional story for me, and I kind of think.
It was emotional for you?
Well, because I don't want to hear that about John Panette, but you
You
know,
were a stripper, Felicia.
I know, but John Panette was, no, listen, I accept that John Panette could do something because I've been around enough headliners when you were first starting out, you know what I mean? They do creepy shit. But I can't
I think your
imagine-
doubt comes from Brian putting a hole in it and saying it could have been Ralphie May. I think that's
No,
what it is.
not at all. Because the only
was-
part about the story that I didn't like about John, I don't care if he tried to shove cocaine up your nose or took you to a house where other people didn't have drugs but shitty Philly cheesesteak sandwiches that
Hey,
were
the
really
sandwich was good.
Okay, the sandwich was good. But I hate hearing that he yelled at you and threatened to get you fired over just a spilt drink. That's the part. You know, the other part, I'm like, I have no problem with. But
Right.
that part.
He's fucking with the money.
but
The forcible coke is fine, but when you're taking
Money
over
away
a
from
spilled
somebody.
drink.
That does sound like stripper logic. That's like,
Always stays with you.
yeah.
So I'm going to say the John Panette one is a lie.
Okay.
Wait,
You're going
what?
with your heart.
I'm going to go with my heart. What do you say?
I think the first one is a lie. I think that one's true.
I want to guess too.
Yeah.
I think the second one's a lie too because I think it's an amalgamation of a bunch of road stories, and it sounds like a ghost story almost.
That's how you describe Florida
There was no
comedy, though.
Yeah. And also the fact that you picked a dead comic because I was like, she's naming names. This seems real, but then you pick a dead comic, so you can't verify it. I'm going second one is a lie.
Oh.
Wow, what about you, Andrew?
I want the dead body to have ghosted you.
I got ghosted by a dead
I've
body.
been
That's
waiting
funny.
45 minutes to say that joke. No, I feel like the first one. I'm with Jessica. I feel like the first one could possibly be like a joke or something like that you kind of turned into a story. So I don't want John Panette to be a dick. So,
But what part of
Also,
the...
he's a Broadway guy, so he doesn't punch; he slaps.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Panette did Broadway for like 3 years. I don't think
This is just after that.
I don't think he would have thrown a punch. I think he would have open hand slapped. But
All right.
it's more sassy Broadway behavior. That's the
so-
other thing. It was the
Jeff.
punch. Yeah.
Good day, sir.
I don't see him as a brawler.
All right, so what's the real story and what's the lie?
You guys are right. The lie is the funeral home story.
Wow!
It is a true story, but it didn't happen to me.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Who did it
And,
happen to?
This hearse driver that I'm trying to get on our podcast.
Oh, you fucking told me that. I have no memory. That's right.
Yeah.
God, I'm a retard.
Wow, so you never worked at a funeral home at all?
No, never.
No, wow,
Never
you're a
my
good
I never
Lord.
dated a guy
liar,
that
dude.
worked at a funeral home.
Wow, you're
I had
a
a
good
crush on
liar.
a guy once whose name was Vincent that worked at a funeral home, but he had a completely different
Vincent was the
story.
wrong name to choose for a funeral home. And I saw through that right away. Vincent Price. God, I'm an idiot.
That was
This is how I get cheated on for years. Because I just see the signs and immediately forget them.
Damn, Carmen.
Hey, wait, I don't buy these condoms. Oh, well.
Did you pull that second story? So that second story is completely true.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Wow.
That was one weekend of working
Yeah.
with him.
Wow.
And then he was, at the end of the weekend, he was like, I'll throw you a couple weeks. I'm sorry for this weekend or whatever.
Oh, there you guys. He's so bad, Felicia.
Yeah, then he should have fired you.
Get it, Felicia. He didn't fucking deliver. He didn't give them to me.
Is it because he died? Is that why he didn't deliver?
It was a big inconvenience, Brian. You could have put me on the books anyway.
Put me at least on the funeral. 15,
Right?
you know?
God.
It'd be hard
All
to lose
right,
him.
that's hilarious.
That's good.
That was emotional for me. God damn it! All right, so Brian,
I was a huge fan.
yeah.
It was way worse for me, Felicia. I'm not going to lie.
Well, just the only thing that bothers me, like I said, is the getting fired over the drink. The rest of the stuff, that's just
I think that was all vibrato because I was like, are you serious right now? Like, what is
Yeah.
wrong with you?
Yeah.
But again, he could have been on drugs too. Because that was the whole
Right.
thing is he was like about to get checked into rehab. And
really?
yeah.
Well, that shows a lot about your character in a great way, that you're very tenacious and you won't be treated that way. So I like that you stood up for yourself and
Thanks.
still offered to drive him to more drugs.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I'm very good at featuring, Felicia. I'm very good at it.
Did you have an SUV?
An SUV?
Like,
I had a Kia Sportage. So not really. And it was very tight for him.
okay, just wondering what that
Yeah.
was like.
All right. So, Brian, your two stories.
Yep.
It was the getting kicked out of the airborne and then
kindergarten.
Airborne's Academy,
and then
Airborne School.
Rat tail.
the rat tail.
This one is rough because, I mean, you said all the right stuff for the Army.
I'll tell you right now, I 100% was in the Army. And I 100%
And-
was in kindergarten.
And you said all the right stuff about,
about that
cutting hair with child-proof scissors. So I don't
That's
know.
my only
That's a
problem. That's
tricky.
what I'm going to say. I think I'm going to say that the kindergarten one is a lie because of the scissor. Unless you stole the big black scissor, metal scissor
No,
from
no,
the
no.
teacher, which
Yeah.
you didn't.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
So I don't think that one's real.
But here's where I have a problem with that story is that to me that's an impulsive act. But the fact that you said you have an impulse issue, and the fact that you planned it, that you sat there and pretended to
Premeditated,
be
that's true.
asleep. If you're fucking impulsive and ADHD, I can't imagine that.
Yeah, no, there's...
I'm so full of shit, by the way. But I can't imagine that.
It is... Well, the thing is, if you know anything about kids, it's pretty girlish.
What is?
That's more of a little 5-year-old girl behavior than it is
Yeah, the
5-year-old boy.
vindictive stuff, that's way more dudes are
Oh,
just
yeah.
like, "Dopaka," like
Yeah,
little
yeah.
boys are
You just
way
hit 'em
more
and
dumb
run.
about
Yeah,
it.
I would have hit him right there in the sandbox kind of thing,
Right.
but that's not... I was raised by women.
Is that why you had to get the wings? Because fuck your dad. Was that why?
No, I just... Not fuck you, but like, I'm better than you.
Right. Well, that's what I meant.
It's more like I'll show you than fuck you.
Okay.
No, like it's more like instead of fuck you, it's like put my arm
Thank you
around
for Brian
give him
explaining me.
give him a noogie and saying I'm better than you.
Wow, I
Kinda
don't
thing.
know. What are your thoughts, Andrew?
I want to say, I think that the Army's real. I think that story's real, and then the other one is, I just like it's the planning of doing it. Like I couldn't have planned like at 5, and also my memory is not that good from when I was 5 years old. Like I remember like things, but not like.
I don't have a short-term memory at all. I have a very
Well, you've proven that with
serious
the-
long-term memory.
With the hearse driver, you proved that.
Yeah.
But
That's true.
but no,
I was
okay,
like,
so-
man, are you helping my case right now? Is that what you trying to help me sell this bullshit story that you know about?
Could you imagine how exciting life is for me right now? I experience things all the time. Yeah,
I'm doing this thing again for the first time again.
I'll be doing stand-up for the first time tonight.
You should start every show at the Improv. This is my first time here. I
Yep.
appreciate it. Like,
No, I remember from like age 3. I remember like conversations of people looking down at me when I was age 3 and
Wow.
what they were saying to me.
Okay.
I really remember my early years really well.
I don't. But okay, so that's me. I would say that the early story is a lie and the Army's true.
I agree,
That's
Andrew.
That's my go-to.
I am going to say because I should agree with them, but the thing it does kind of sound like the Army story is like something pulled out of Full Metal Jacket or something. You
What?
know, like do you know?
Have you ever watched that movie?
No, what's someone with
Nobody
Vincent
goes home
D'Onofrio?
because
Never heard
asthma.
stroking. You think she's going to watch?
I didn't go home. I
What
got
was the
reassigned.
movie where Vincent D'Onofrio is doing going through basic training?
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Do you know who that is?
Yeah. Isn't
Yeah.
he in Saving Private Ryan or something?
No, wasn't that? Which
I
is
don't
the
know.
guy he was in?
He's too young to be in Full Metal Jacket.
Maybe I'm
Isn't
thinking
he?
of someone else. I don't know.
I think he's too young.
I'm gonna, because I have to be contrary. I'm gonna say the Kindergarten Story is a lie, and
what we're
I'm gonna
saying.
say the opposite. That the the Kindergarten Story is true, and the Army story I think is partially true, but you exaggerated.
Okay.
Now I can say?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Do you want to guess?
Oh yeah.
She kind of knows.
I kind of know.
Oh,
Okay.
all right then.
Yeah. The Kindergarten Story is 100% true.
Yeah.
And I never went to airborne school, and I would have never cared about...
Oh,
Jesus, Felicia. God damn it, Felicia. Pull it together.
You were right!
okay. You know what it is? I'm terribly dyslexic. So I remember
You're not
everything.
reading this.
I know. But I sometimes hear, or when I think about things, I do it backwards.
I think a lot of comics are actually. I think
Yeah.
that might be.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would have never cared about... I don't know why I joined the Army, and I hated it the entire time I was in there. It was no point of pride. I never went to airborne school. I did... All the other stuff was true. I did
So
a
where
really
did you
bad
get
basic
that
training
story?
and
Where
work
did you
for
get the
NSA.
story about the button you in the head?
I don't know. I just came up with it.
That was good.
That was good. Wow. You two should be hosting the Liars Club. You are some good fucking liars.
That's why our podcast goes well. We just bullshit each other and bullshit.
Wow.
Yeah, we're both criminals.
You are fucked up, dude.
Thank you.
If you cut that hair and
I did, 100%.
premeditated
just cut
that in kindergarten, you got issues, dude.
You just should work with children. I felt that way for a while.
Dude, I've done so
The
many
shit
things like
I've
that when I
seen
was in school.
kids. The shit I've seen kids do to each other at that age.
What's the most fucked up thing you ever saw?
Oh, I saw a kid piss right into another sleeping kid's mouth, which is more boy behavior. I get it. Like, it's not
No,
like
that
really
is kinda
premeditated. But I watched a little, Rohan was his name, and he stood right over a sleeping kid, took his dick out, and just started pissing on the kid. And I full on linebacker tackled him off of the kid. Like, I mean, I didn't hurt him or anything, but I like came from the side, drove my shoulder into his
flanked
shoulder, yeah, and took him out.
You might have
Wow.
prevented the next like Pablo Escobar or something.
Yeah, maybe. But then again, I was doing weird shit, and I've never Pablo Escobar'd anyone.
I did weird shit
That you
even as a
remember.
little girl.
I did too. I beat up a boy and then was trying to you're not gonna fucking tell on me, you pussy. Like I was mean about it, right? I was like, you got beat up by a girl. You don't want people to know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a real
Oh,
asshole.
I can
Oh.
see you like that as a little girl.
Girls are always getting boys to show them their dicks and stuff. It's
I wasn't
weird.
one of those.
I was a
Yeah.
tender-hearted little person. You
Yeah.
guys were mean.
Wow.
Yeah.
I once with my brother when we were like 5 and 6, or right when his teeth were, he had just gotten his permanent teeth, like the two front ones. And you know how when a sapling is very pliable and you can like almost bend it like a little tree sapling
Sure.
all the way down to the ground? So I saw that I could do this, and I stepped on this sapling and I bent it all the way down.
Yep.
I said, "Hey, Richard, come over here," and he came up, and I fucking let it flail. Broke off 2 of his front teeth, his permanent teeth.
Did you get beat with that sapling by your parents?
Yeah, that would happen at my family's house. I would've got
He
beat with
never
it.
told on me. He never
would be
told. I
injustice.
did
Yeah, well,
so
fucking
many
That's how much-
maybe and told
He was
on
my-
me.
That's how much fear you had driven into him. That he was like, I fell, mama.
I did
then
I
this.
fail.
It's weird that's how you find your best friend sometimes. That's how I found my best friend Steven.
You beat the shit out of him?
No, there was a kid. A kid had finally moved into our neighborhood. We lived in an old neighborhood, so I was like so excited. I saw him moving in, so I was like, I'm gonna ride my bike by, and I just kept riding by, fucking staring, like,
Yeah.
hey.
Talk to me. Be my friend.
So he.
The kid's inside like, I don't know what the hell's going on. This kid just keeps staring at me.
No, he was a little jerk, right? And he was outside with his cousin, and they threw a rock at me, and I.
Which is a good icebreaker. How else do you start conversations when
made
you're
me
a
fall
kid?
off my bike, and I'm like,
Called the Palestinian hello.
and I skinned my knee and all this shit, and I was upset. And Miss Ruth, the old lady from next door, came around and walked me back home.
to the next
Wait, I
trailer.
thought the story was about you finding a friend.
Yeah, I don't know.
And the old lady.
Miss Ruth became your friend?
After that, we did become really good friends, but that was our first meeting.
Oh, yeah. All my closest friends, I didn't like them when I first met them.
I did that with my best friend Josh. I was a freshman though. Like I wasn't young, but yeah, I was flipping cards, and then he kept watching, and I was told to do this by a friend, and then I just I pretend like I flipped him real high, and he like looked up, and I just bam right in the chest, and then started running.
Yep.
And best friend to this day.
Yeah.
For
The punch and run is a real little boy move. Yeah.
You're my friend.
Yeah.
It's kind of like now chase me. Ugh, like, it was.
Wow. Well, you guys have been fucking fantastic today. Thank you so
Thanks.
much for
That's
coming
really
and
good.
sharing
Thanks for having
those
us.
stories. Where can
Appreciate
people
it.
find you, and what do you have that you would like to shout out?
You can find me at CarmenMorales.com for all of your Carmen Morales needs. Follow me at The Funny Carmen on all the assorted social media. Also, listen to our podcast because if you're listening to this, you obviously listen to podcasts. So here's another one. For
No,
the
sir, I
docket.
don't like it.
No, sir, I don't like it. At No Sir Pod. Email us if you want. nosirpod@gmail.com. And yeah.
You can find we got dates in Virginia. We'll both be out there
That's
in
right.
November,
Brian and I will be in Virginia in November.
and then I'll be in Arizona after that.
You don't want to throw out what club you're at
Sure.
in Virginia? Or
The
just-
Virginia.
I don't.
Figure it out, motherfucker.
She just said the fucking website.
Yeah, I was about to say for all your needs, it was perfect.
All your
Okay,
needs, yeah.
okay,
The Virginia
okay.
Beach
Fair
Funny
enough.
Bone, Kazi's in Newport News, Virginia, and maybe the Richmond Funny Bone as well.
Wonderful,
Yeah,
wonderful.
I have BryanVokey.com. All the dates be all over the country in the next 3 months. And no, sir, I don't like it. That's my favorite thing I do, comedy-wise.
Oh,
So-
Besides
nice.
stand up. I mean, come on. The podcast is fun, but
That's what I mean, non-stand-up.
No,
yeah,
he was.
for a second I thought you were
I
like
think you like the podcast a lot.
Yeah, I do. I do like it a lot. It's my favorite thing. I mean, obviously, other than stand-up.
but that's not obvious to the listeners. Listen to us argue even more.
The podcast is over. I fucking hate it.
wow.
We're
And,
on Laughable, Spotify. If you guys really like bickering.
is there anything you would like to add, Andrew?
Yeah, if you have any questions, comments, concern, please email us at theliarsclub1@gmail.com. We are on Stitcher and YouTube and iTunes. Please tell your friends to listen to us. Subscribe, leave a comment. We would really appreciate that. Also, go to all of my social media and give me a follow. Andrew Rose. I do a random fact of the day with a joke every day, so you get a joke a day. And that's all I got.
How about you, Jessica?
Follow me at Jess Wellington 2 on all social media. I'll be around. I'm going to Arizona at the end of this month. That'll be fun. Come see me. I'll be at Comedy Off Main.
Wonderful.
Little place, and it's fun and cool.
Wonderful. And I am Felicia Michaels. And what I do want to say is Andrew already brought it up. Please do us a big favor and go and leave a review on iTunes. Just a couple of words and subscribe because we're just trying to get our numbers up. And thank you guys all for listening. I've been Felicia Michaels.
And I'm Jessica Wellington, and you've been lied to.